Hey guys, today I'm filming a first impression and follow-up on the Sonia Kashuk Soft Focus Satin Matte Foundation. You guys may have heard about this on YouTube. A couple different people here and there have been talking about it, but you've probably heard about this raved about from Casey Holmes. She also has oily skin like I do, which is definitely why I wanted to try out this foundation. This Sonia Kashuk foundation retails for $12.99 and it is available in Target stores and on Target.com. This foundation only comes in 6 shades, which I think is absolutely terrible. Sonia Kashuk in general is not the best at having a wide shade selection, so I definitely think they can improve in that category because there are a lot more skin tones out there than 6. My shade is the lightest shade, number 1 Calico. And I'm going to read you the claims from the Target website. They are very straight to the point. It says it is an anti-aging formula, but yet it doesn't go into more detail or tell you what ingredients or what properties are supposed to make this anti-aging. And it says it is perfect for oily and combination skin types, medium to full coverage, shine-free and silky smooth, creamy yet lightweight. So this definitely sounds like something I would like. Perfect for oily skin. And medium to full coverage, you guys know I do prefer full, but I am okay with medium, especially if I'm spending drugstore prices on a foundation. So I do have some pretty good hopes for it, especially because Casey did really enjoy this one. So to show you the packaging, it is a glass bottle and it is black on the top. It says Sonia Kashuk in white lettering on the lid, and on the bottom is clear so you can see the actual shade of your foundation. On the bottom is a sticker with the shade name. On the top of the lid says SK and it is gold, which is really pretty, and it does have a pump, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I've swatched this, but I haven't worn it on my skin. I really think that all foundations should either come with a pump or any squeeze tube because it's just so much easier to use that way. As with all of my first impression and follow-ups, I'll be applying the foundation on this side with a sponge and on this side of my face with a brush. For the sponge, I'll be using the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge, and for the brush, I'll be using the Beauty Junkies Flat Top Kabuki Brush. And just gonna start by pumping out a little bit of this foundation. So this has a pretty good consistency, not too thick and it isn't too thin, but as you can see, it is dripping down my finger, which actually might be really nice for summer. Foundations that are too thick sometimes just feel heavier on the skin, so maybe this will be a really good consistency between thick and thin, especially for the summertime. This definitely does have a scent. It is a little bit of like a floral baby powder scent. It isn't that strong, definitely not on the level of MAC Studio Fix, but I do notice there's a little bit of a scent, so I'll definitely let you know if it lingers or if I can smell it once it's actually on my face. So just dotting this onto my skin. I'm not sure if this shade is gonna work. I think it's gonna be close enough. Whether it's a little too dark, I think I can get away with it. So now I have it all dotted on one side of my face. The color is definitely looking yellow enough, which is fantastic. It is so hard for me to find foundations that are very fair and yellow tone, so that is already a good start for me. So now just blending this in. And it seems to blend really easily with a sponge, but I'm not getting a ton of coverage right now. And as I'm blending it around right now, I can definitely smell it. I smell it on my sponge and I can smell it on my face. It's just a very light baby powder floral scent. It's not too overwhelming, but it's definitely there. So here is one layer of foundation applied with the sponge versus no foundation. So now that I have it dotted all over this side of my face, I'm gonna go in with my brush and I am going to press it into my skin to help give more coverage. And I can smell the product on my brush as well. Now it almost smells a tiny bit like sunscreen. I don't know, it definitely has a scent, but it isn't too overpowering. Now that I know it's there, I'm almost looking for it. So here is one layer of foundation applied with the sponge versus one layer of foundation applied with the brush. The brush side definitely did give it a little bit more coverage, but I don't think that it gave significantly more coverage than applied with the sponge. Right now with one layer, I'd say we have light coverage. The color does look pretty good for me. I think maybe it's a smidgen dark, but it's definitely yellow enough, so As long as the undertone works for me, I can definitely adjust the shade if need be. So now I'm going to go ahead and apply a second layer to see if this is buildable. And I'm not sure if it's oxidizing, but if you guys can see, the freshly applied product looks a lot lighter than the product that's already dried down on my skin. That's kind of strange. So here's 2 layers of foundation applied with a sponge versus 1 layer of foundation applied with the brush. So here's 2 layers of foundation applied with a sponge versus 2 layers of foundation applied with a brush. Now this time I definitely do see a significant difference in the coverage of what's applied with a sponge versus what's applied with a brush. On the sponge side, I would say right now I have light medium coverage, if I'm being generous, leaning towards medium. But on the right side of my face where I have applied it with a brush, I think I have a straight medium coverage. And the main reason I'm able to tell that is because all of my freckles are still showing through, which is fine. But on this side, all of my freckles are completely covered up for the most part. So that's how I'm definitely able to see that there is a difference in the coverage with these different application methods. So that's something that I did just want to note. I actually do prefer almost always applying my foundation with a sponge, but I'm really liking the coverage more with this brush side. So I don't see this as being medium buildable to full. I say this is medium coverage with 2 layers applied with a brush, which I'm fine with. I'm not going to apply more layers to see if it is buildable to full because that is just way too much makeup on my skin. So right now it is 11 a.m. I will be back in 4 hours for my first check-in. Hey guys, I'm back for my first check-in. It is 3 p.m. so I've had this foundation on for 4 hours and I definitely have some thoughts on this. So as I showed you earlier, I definitely do think that this foundation dries down darker than it looks in the bottle and then it looks when you are dotting it on your skin. And I did hold up the bottle comparing it to my skin and it definitely looks darker on my face. And that isn't something that's a big deal because it isn't something that's oxidizing throughout the day. It's just setting to be a little bit of a darker shade. I would much rather prefer that because I can add in a mixer and I should be fine. So that is great news. I definitely don't think it looks any darker since I first applied it, and it normally would oxidize by this point. I don't think this foundation settles into my pores or my forehead wrinkles. I can still see my wrinkles, but I'm gonna see them anyway, but I don't see any product actually settling into them, which I think is fantastic. And as far as the oil control goes so far, I'm definitely a little bit shiny on the center of my forehead, the inner part of my cheek, and on my chin, just a tiny bit right now. I'm not feeling like it's really coming through. I'm not feeling greasy, so that's fantastic. And it looks pretty good for 4 hours. So I'm going to check back in with you guys in another 4 hours. Hey guys, it is 7 p.m. so I've had this foundation on for 8 hours. I do not think this foundation has oxidized on me any throughout the day, and it still is not emphasizing my pores or my wrinkles, but I am definitely shiny right now. I think you guys can see it. I am very shiny on my forehead, this inner part of my cheek, and a little bit on my chin, but it hasn't broken up my makeup, which is pretty darn good, so I am happy with that. And I'm just going to take a piece of toilet paper and blot my skin. And there is some transfer onto the tissue, but even when I blotted, it didn't lift the makeup off my skin, which is good because that can definitely happen with me sometimes. So far for 8 hours, I think that this is pretty good with its oil control properties. Not perfect, but I've never found anything that keeps me completely matte all day long, but I am really happy with the way that this is working. So I'm gonna have a text post at the end of the night once it's been 12 hours to let you know how this wore for an entire day. Then I'll be back tomorrow to do the follow-up. Hey guys, I am back to film the follow-up on the Sonia Kashuk Soft Focus Satin Matte Foundation. So today I'm going to be inserting this product into my everyday routine so I can get a more accurate picture of how this might actually work for me. So first I'm going to start by applying my primers. I have the Lorac Perfection Primer, which is to mattify my skin. I'm going to apply this all over. Then I have the Makeup Forever Step 1 Smoothing Primer to fill in my pores, and I'm going to be patting that in on my nose and on this inner part of my cheek. Starting with the Lorac primer, just taking a little bit of this, rubbing it between my fingers and applying it all over my skin. So taking a bit of the Makeup Forever Smoothing Primer, I'm going to press this into my large pores, then smooth out towards the outside of my face. Moving on to foundation. Yesterday in the first impression, I did apply this with both a sponge and a brush. And while the brush did give a little bit more coverage, I actually like the feel, the look, and just the application of using a sponge. So that's what I'm going to use today. Again, using that Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. So here is one layer of foundation applied all over with the sponge. Right now with one layer, I would say that we have light medium coverage. And here's what 2 layers of foundation looks like applied all over with the sponge. Right now, I would say we have solid medium coverage. So now that I'm done with my foundation, I'm going to apply my under eye concealer and setting powder off camera. So now I've applied my under eye concealer and setting powder. As you can see, it's definitely looking lighter than my foundation, which is what I typically go for. But it really helps me see how much darker this foundation is from the rest of my skin. It's at least 2 shades too dark. And to powder, like always, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Powder in the shade 100 Translucent, which is not translucent. It is fair with a yellow undertone. And I'm going to apply it with the Real Techniques powder brush. I love this brush because it helps completely set my face with powder, but it isn't going to pack on too much extra coverage. And I am going to apply this all over my skin. And just adding a little bit of powder right here, I can tell that it did lighten up my foundation a bit. Still looking too dark, but this does help. So here's what it looks like now that I have the powder applied all over my skin. It definitely did help to lighten the overall look of my foundation, which is perfect. And hopefully it will also help keep me a bit more matte. Right now it is 11 a.m. I'm gonna check in with you guys about halfway throughout the day to give you my final thoughts. Throughout this time, I'm going to blot and powder whenever necessary using a piece of toilet paper and my Rimmel Stay Matte powder, and I will see you guys in a couple hours. Hey guys, it is 5 p.m. so I've had this foundation on for 6 hours. Around the 4-hour mark, I did start to get a little bit oily throughout my T-zone, but I didn't feel the need to touch up until right before this video, which being able to go 6 hours is actually very, very impressive to me. So now to give you guys my final thoughts on this foundation, I really like it. I wish this had a better shade selection. This shade is a bit too dark for me, but luckily it isn't a pink undertone. It is more of a yellow, so I will be mixing this with my Hard Candy Glamouflage and Porcelain to get my perfect shade. For coverage, it is going to be between light, medium, and medium coverage. I don't think you can build it up more than that unless you want to keep applying more layers, but I'm actually okay with that. Even though I am a full coverage girl, I think this is going to be a great foundation for just a casual daily basis. I also think that this holds up against oil pretty well. It isn't the most oil controlling foundation that I've ever used, but I think it does a good job. Also, this does not settle into my pores or my forehead wrinkles. And so overall, I really do like this foundation. I can see this working for several skin types because I don't see this as a drying foundation. So even if you have dry skin, you might enjoy this, but definitely for anybody with normal combo or oily skin. Also, if you're someone that likes a more light, medium coverage, this would be great for you as well if you can find your perfect shades. So I'm actually really happy with this foundation, and I do see myself using this quite frequently. So guys, that was my first impression and follow-up on the Sonia Kashuk Soft Focus Satin Matte Foundation. If you guys have tried this foundation, I would love to know your thoughts on it, and please let me know what your skin type is as well. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.